Yeah, I'm dead right on this. The coronavirus is the common cold, folks. The drive-by media hype of this thing as a pandemic, as the Andromeda strain, as, oh my God, if you get it, you're dead. Do you know what I think the survival rate is 98%. 98% of people get the coronavirus survive. It's really being hyped as a deadly Andromeda strain kind of strain or Ebola pandemic that, oh my God, is going to wipe out the nation. It's going to wipe out the population of the world. The stock market's down like 900 points right now. And I think the survival rate of this is 98%. You have to read very deeply to find that number. 2% of the people who get the coronavirus die. That's less than the flu, folks. That is a far lower death statistic than any form of influenza, which is an annual thing that everybody gets shots for. There's nothing unusual about in fact, coronavirus is not something new. There are all kinds of viruses that have that name.
It's critical, you know what, that we look at these numbers with a clear lens. I want to remind everyone that the CDC estimates that this year's seasonal flu has resulted in roughly 34 million cases and 20,000 deaths in the United States alone. The seasonal flu. From 2009 to 2010, nearly 61 million Americans got swine flu, and more than 12,000 Americans died. As many as 575,000 people worldwide died of the swine flu. And was there any criticism? No. Because why? Because the media didn't want to insult their precious President Obama, I suppose. With the global town halls and CNN treating this like it's some missing plane story. What is that? I mean, did they do this during Ebola? No. But we didn't even see this kind of insanity for SARS. And SARS and Ebola, those viruses were far more deadly. So why the melodrama on such an agitated scale right now? Why are the markets reacting like this?
You know, and again, I say we have a very active flu season, more active than most. It's looking like it's heading to 50,000 or more deaths, not cases, 50,000 deaths, which is, that's a lot. And you look at automobile accidents, which are far greater than any numbers we're talking about. That doesn't mean we're going to tell everybody no more driving of cars. So we have to do things to get our country open. I don't think you'll have another event like this. This is very unique. You look back into time, you look back decades and decades. We can name them all, even if you go back 10 years. You know, you go back to '09, but that wasn't like this, as it turned out. But they lost a lot of people.
It originated in China in a little, well, not a little town, town's 11 million people, Wuhan, China. And one of the reasons they're able to hype this is that the doctor who warned everybody about it came down with it and died. And so if a doctor, oh my God, Russia doctor got it, you can't possibly be right. If a doctor can't protect, he didn't know what he was dealing with. Discovered it back in December. I'm telling you, the Chi-Coms are trying to weaponize this thing. And I think that it is an effort to bring down Trump. And one of the ways it's being used to do this is to scare investors, to scare people in business, to scare people into not buying treasury bills at auctions, to scare people into leaving, cashing out of the stock market. And true enough, as the show began today, the stock market, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down about 900 points, supposedly because of the latest news about the spread of the coronavirus. And if you go deeper into China, you will see that all of the high-tech Silicon Valley firms are said to be terribly exposed. They could be suffering a disastrous year. Why, you may not be able to buy a new iPhone of any model this whole year. Do you know that? Because the coronavirus is so bad that the factories may never open. And if they do, they may not be anywhere near full capacity. So Apple may not be able to release any new product. You think that's not going to panic investors?
Yeah. And some investors are allowing their own hate and their own bias against him to spiral out of control, leading to massive sell-offs right now in the market. For the media to spin a narrative that this sell-off and this virus are all a result of President Trump, it's just wrong. But unfortunately, I guess they needed someone to blame. They were looking for someone to blame. They want to blame him for literally anything they can. And they have no real interest, shall we say, in finding who's to blame, who is the root cause of all this. From what we can tell, this all originated out of China. You know, when Donald Trump is their political target, that's all they need. And that's tonight's intel.
This, and the Chi-Coms obviously in their lab are doing something here with the coronavirus. And it got out. Some people believe it got out on purpose, that the Chi-Coms have a whole lot of problems based on an economy that cannot provide for the number of people they have. So losing a few people here or there, not so bad for the Chinese government.
We have an obligation, we have a double obligation. We have a great country. There's no country like it in the world, and there's no economy like it in the world. I mean, we were just blazing. We were coming out with numbers that some numbers weren't even reported because it was already, this had happened. They were meaningless. I got numbers about myself that were meaningless because by the time the numbers came in, you know, it's a whole different world with this.
You know, of course, these are people's jobs that the left does not mind seeing them lose. These are people's 401ks that are being decimated. And that's okay with them? That's okay with the left? Yeah. You know, in some ways, they almost seem to be cheering it on.
One, you said it's likely going to be weeks, not months, before you suggest easing these guidelines that you put out. Have any of the doctors on your team told you that's the right path to pursue?
We spoke to them today, and I was telling them that we have two things to look for. Don't forget the doctors. If it were up to the doctors, they may say, let's keep it shut down. Let's shut down the entire world. Because, again, you're up to almost 150 countries. So let's shut down the entire world. And when we shut it down, that would be wonderful. Let's keep it shut for a couple of years. You know, you can't do that. And you can't do that with a country, especially the number one economy anywhere in the world, by far. Number one economy in the world, you can't do that.
I wish he would just be quiet.
I see. This is impeachment all over again. And like with the Mueller investigation, like with Ukraine Gate, they don't care who they hurt. Whether it be their need to create mass hysteria to encourage a market sell-off, unlike anything we've seen recently, or whether it be to create mass hysteria in order to stop our economy dead in its tracks. Don't kid yourself. They told us how much they crave a recession as a way to get rid of Donald Trump.
So, I'm in the danger zone. I would rather have my children stay home and all of us who are over 50 go in and keep this economy going and working. Even if we all get sick, I'd rather die than kill the country, because it's not the economy that's dying, it's the country. And I'll show you just what's happening to us just by looking at the talks with the stimulus right now. We have that coming up in 1 minute.